Hi, everybody. It is September 4, 2025. I hope you're all doing okay. Andrew Cruz, Rage Against the Machine. Hi. Sandra Pilar Gill. Hi. Debbie Frotto. Hello. Debbie and Tony. And Warriors of the Most High. Yeah. Okay. Messenger 440. Third Eye Sore. Barb in Ohio. Hi, everybody. Oracle 11. And Vet for Peace. Hi, guys. Patricia White. Really hope that you're all doing okay. All right. On you, these extremely low frequencies, which cause effects to your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual, your psyche, your emotional health, everything. Mind control and weather control. That's what extremely low frequencies are all about. So, lots of supercells igniting, the Four Corner states and Nevada. It's, weather modification playlist on this channel. And I have several videos devoted to the nanotechnology in use in our weather. Nanobots activate. Yeah, as well, precipitation, but really supercells. They love bringing on the supercells for severe thunderstorms. Look at this nice line. It's a line up from Virginia on up into Canada once again. And Tennessee and western North Carolina. And then you have this, I guess the new term is they're training thunderstorms. Training. Okay. Yeah. Like we had training thunderstorms before. No, we didn't. Okay. So you had 5 active severe weather warnings for Minnesota, New York, and Virginia. Oh, yeah. All right. Minnesota. Oh, there they are, the supercell ignition with a nice, extremely low frequency shot right into it. So you have them in Lyon County, Minnesota, and Cottonwood and Murray counties in Minnesota, Oneida in New York and Virginia. Wow. Amelia and Chesterfield and Dinwiddie, Nottoway, Colonial Heights, Prince George, and Petersburg, the city, and Colonial Heights, the city. The others are the counties. Oh, a tornado warning in New York. In New York. In New York. In New York. Okay. All right. I don't. Tornado warning in New York. Yeah, it's September, and New York is famous for their tornadoes. Didn't you know? No, I didn't know. Anyway, weather-wise, you see the flash flooding down here in Arizona and into California, and also New Mexico. You got them flood watches. Santa Fe, up north. Taos is just outside, but Angel Fire. All right. Well, you know the deal. Click on the color. If you happen to be living within the color, and then you'll get more information by clicking on the top right-hand arrow. Much of Arizona into adjacent portions, Southern California and Nevada. Heavy rainfall, flash flooding, likely. Here's your discussion, and yeah, okay. Well, let me just play just a short of Ryan Hall, just to make you guys aware, if you're not aware, especially for the East Coast and the Gulf states, always pay attention. You know, they could very well be bringing you a hurricane. Hurricane Gabrielle.
All right, so you see this blob down here near Africa? Well, there's an 80% chance that this is going to turn into Hurricane Gabrielle, and it's headed this way. We're currently calling it Invest 91L, and it's likely going to become a tropical depression or tropical storm this weekend, and from there, it looks like it's going to organize very fast. Models are currently showing it reaching near the Lesser Antilles by mid-next week. That's around September 11th, so we've got about 7 days to watch it churn, but we will know much more about this storm once it gets closer to the Caribbean, where people who live there need to be watching this like a hawk. Now, on the east coast of the United States, it's not time to panic yet, but check your hurricane preparedness plan just in case this thing starts moving closer. We are right in the middle of peak hurricane season, so it's not going to be surprising if this thing turns into a big hurricane. Follow the National Hurricane Center for official.
All righty. So be aware of that weather. The 90s Brooklynite. Hey, the 90s. Nice to see you. Always like my New Yorkers to join. Yeah. I didn't put the links in. Link to Weatherwise is in the chat. And the link to the alert page is in the chat, and radar coming up. And there you go. Okay. So, I'm surprised that I didn't find much on Kansas. Hail for sure. But I thought I would see more destruction, but I don't know if I'm actually able to find a lot of what is taking place all over the country, all over the world for that matter. But first, let's take a look. Now, does that look like a sky, a natural sky? Does it look like contrails from planes? You know, when the obvious gets obvious, I get obviously really irritated with those who refuse to see the obvious. But it's right there, smack in your face. You know, it looks like you have a three-cornered square, and well, they're closing off the sun. So when you have mainstream media reporting on Bill Gates wanting to dim the sun because of climate change, and people then look at this, they can't put, you know, one and one together and come up with two. I guess not. Baja, California.
Baja California Sur, Mexico. What began as a swirling mass of tropical moisture off the Pacific coast rapidly evolved into a full-blown humanitarian crisis. Hurricane Lorena, a Category 1 storm at its peak, battered the Baja California Sur Peninsula with torrential rains, fierce winds, and life-threatening floods, leaving behind a trail of destruction, displacement, and uncertainty. Lorena formed on September 3, 2025, intensifying swiftly into a hurricane as it tracked northwestward along the Pacific coast. By the morning of September 4th, it was located approximately 105 miles west-southwest of Cabo San Lazaro, with sustained winds of 80 miles per hour. Though forecasts predicted rapid weakening, the storm's moisture plume extended far beyond its core, saturating the atmosphere over northwestern Mexico. Rainfall totals reached staggering levels, between 4 to 8 inches in many areas, with isolated pockets receiving up to 15 inches. The National Hurricane Center issued dire warnings of flash floods and mudslides, particularly in Baja California Sur, Baja California, and Sonora. The deluge began late on September 3rd and intensified overnight. Rivers swelled beyond their banks, low-lying neighborhoods turned into lakes, and hillsides gave way under the weight of waterlogged soil.
You didn't know there was a hurricane that developed yesterday and then slammed into Mexico today? You didn't know? Wait, today? No. Hurricane formed, boom, we're inland. Wow, that was fast. So, yeah, a lot of destruction, a lot of people suffering the consequences.
Roads cracked and buckled, bridges collapsed, communications were severed in remote communities, leaving thousands isolated. The Transpeninsular Highway, a vital artery connecting the peninsula's north and south, was rendered impassable in multiple sections due to landslides and washouts. Rescue teams struggled to reach affected areas, hampered by debris and impassable terrain. Among the hardest hit was the fishing village of Puerto San Carlos. Residents described a night of terror as floodwaters surged through their homes. Maria Elena, a 62-year-old grandmother, recounted clinging to her rooftop with her grandchildren as the tide rose. The water came so fast. We had no time. I thought we would die. In Kamandu, a local school converted into a shelter housed over 300 evacuees. Volunteers distributed food, blankets, and bottled water, but supplies dwindled quickly. We need medicine, clean water, and more hands, said shelter coordinator Luis Ortega.
Wow.
This is beyond anything we've prepared for. Mexico's federal and state authorities mobilized swiftly. The Secretariat of National Defense deployed troops for search and rescue operations. Helicopters airlifted stranded residents from rooftops and isolated enclaves. The Mexican Red Cross dispatched mobile clinics and water purification units. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador addressed the nation.
Excuse me? This was 6 hours ago? Oh, Christ. Okay, that is not the president today. So, you really have to check. What? All right, let's see. Let's just see. Why did he say President Obrador or whatever? Why? Tropical Storm Lorena brings life-threatening flooding to Baja California. And boy, woof, this one just, well, I guess it hit the water and just swam really fast. Oh, wow. All right. Well, yeah, it did. It really did. And did a tremendous amount of damage, destruction.
Preview. Warmer oceans fuel stronger storms. Without resilient planning, we will see more disasters like this. The economic toll is expected to be severe. Baja California Sur's economy relies heavily on tourism and fishing, both sectors devastated by the storm. Beaches were eroded, resorts flooded, and ports damaged. The iconic Cabo San Lucas Marina was littered with debris and sunken vessels. Fishing fleets lost boats and gear. We've
Oh my God.
a challenge, rethinking resilience. Urban planners, engineers, and policymakers are calling for a paradigm shift, one that integrates climate adaptation, community engagement, and sustainable development.
How about looking into weather being used as a weapon? How about looking into weather warfare? God, it's so... There are some days that I just feel like, well, it's useless. You know, just everything is just worthless and useless, and let's just watch till we die. You know, the all of this destruction.
We must build not just
You know, adults really should be able to have adult conversation about the fact that maybe it's not climate change. Maybe it's actually weather being used as a weapon. Weather modification is very real. Geoengineering. Hey, have you looked up in the sky recently? Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's fine. And nothing's happening. And you're just a crazy conspiracy theorist. And I'm going back to my 7th grade classroom. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. This was fast. Very, very fast. Very fast. You know, strong winds, baseball-sized hail pound central Kansas. That's what I said last night. Oh, big, big, big hail. Wichita.
Sound on for this. Hear that heavy hail raining down on Wichita, Kansas on Wednesday? Some of those pellets were as big as baseballs, damaging cars caught in the storm. Then there were the wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour. They blew this semi-trailer off a highway and knocked out power to thousands of people.
Ah, yes.
Forget hiking. These guys could barely stand as crazy.
So, I don't think it's only Wichita, because I was looking and, you know, I saw those storms last night on radar, and I thought, okay, this is not going to be good. Definitely hail. Look at these. What the hell are we looking at? A right-angled cloud? That's not Mother Nature, okay? Manufactured cloud. And if you are just, man can't create cloud, you know what? Woo! All right. On this channel, I have a playlist, weather modification, with over 310 videos. All the very many methods they have to create cloud, to create weather, to create tornadoes to create everything, okay? But these are signatures, okay? Mother Nature is not perfect and works in a circular, you know. Well, she doesn't create right-angled cloud. Electromagnetic frequencies can create right-angled cloud. All right. I don't remember ever seeing clouds like this when I was growing up. Now, maybe they had them, you know, Tornado Alley or whatever, but I don't remember ever seeing clouds like this. Alrighty, that looks pretty intense. That looks almost like a spaceship. It's an alien cloud. Oh, God. Yeah. Wow. When you were growing up, do you remember seeing these massive, what they call supercell clouds? Do you remember seeing any of these? Because I didn't. I like the ridges in the cloud. Oh, wow. Okay. Is this another cloud crashing through the supercell? Is its top maybe just kind of, we're getting angry and we're just going to rise to the heavens? I don't know. Wow. Well, you didn't see them either. Yeah, I know, Linda. And you know what? I just, what's the purpose of me doing this at all? Those are pretty mean looking clouds. Well, all right, so crab fishermen on Chesapeake Bay. We're starting to see dead crab. Look at all this beautiful, nice crab dead. They're dead. 5 sewer treatment plants put hundreds of millions of gallons of wastewater into the bay every single day. Wastewater is full of nitrogen and phosphorus, which causes algae blooms. When the algae dies, bacteria consumes the algae and also the oxygen in the water. Yeah. Oh. Wait 1 second. I think I have it here. No, I don't. Let's listen. I didn't realize this wasn't. I have to go on another browser. Can't get X to play, Twitter to play videos on when I'm clicking on play.
In the Chesapeake Bay is. Can anybody tell me what the #1 problem on the Chesapeake Bay is?
Well, we're in the upper part of the Chesapeake Bay today, and we're starting to see dead crab. Look at all this beautiful, nice crab. Dead. Dead crab, dead crab, dead crab. Could it have anything to do with this right here?
These 5 sewage treatment plants put hundreds of millions of gallons of wastewater into the bay every single day. This wastewater is full of nitrogen and phosphorus, which causes algae blooms. When the algae dies, bacteria consumes the algae and also the oxygen in the water.
We get these huge dead zones in the bay. This year we had it all the way into 5 foot of water. It's killing crabs, it's killing fish, it wipes out the bottom. Oysters, clams, mussels, anything that can't run away and hide is killed because there's zero oxygen in the water. When are we going to do something about this? Inquiring minds want to know.
Sorry, Guy, we're not going to do a thing about it. That much we know. Mexico bans dolphin shows, an historic win for animal welfare, for sure. Full support from both the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies. They passed legislation that prohibits the use of dolphins in shows, therapy, or entertainment, research, and any other activity not related to conservation. The law also bans the breeding of dolphins in captivity. Dolphins currently at these aquariums or dolphinariums, marine entertainment facilities, will remain in captivity but must be cared for under strict welfare standards until their natural death. Especially if they were born in these aquariums, or you can't just release them. Do you see how the two-legged has not been a real good thing, for planet Earth? Millions of Americans are stuck. They can't sell their homes. Yeah.
Have you noticed how for sale signs have been staying up a lot longer these days? Across America, families are listing their homes for sale and nothing's happening. Offers are not rolling in, the buyers are not showing up, and the market feels completely frozen in a lot of areas. Things that used to sell within a week are now taking months to sell.
You guys, buy my house. Please, I'm literally crying. I need to sell my house so bad because I want to move home to Florida. And my dad is there, and my family is there, and my friends are there, and I just literally miss home. I'm like so depressed. I'm sick thinking about how depressed I am. Please, look how beautiful this is. Buy me, please. Please buy my house. This sucks so bad that this is sorry, I was cut off. Anyways, this sucks so bad, you guys, that this is a buyer's market and not a seller's market, because this house would have already sold. But unfortunately, it has not sold. But you guys, the house is gorgeous. If you're trying to move to Katy, Texas, look, I will even I'll throw in my fridge. Okay, what else do you want from me? Do you want this chair? You can have this chair. You can have the whole house with everything in it. You can even have my business if you want. Please just buy my house. Please, look. These lights are homemade. Tulum inspired. Look how pretty they are. I'm so desperate.
We decided to come here because we swore that we would be upfront and honest and open about the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the things in between with this adventure. The truth is, we have listed the house. It has sat on the market for 2 months. we have gotten very little, how do you say, traction? We've gotten one offer and they...
We got 4 offers, but we're not
We
there.
got one real offer and they ended up ghosting their realtor when it came time to put the earnest money down. And the other offers were from investors who lowballed us like 200 grand. So anyways, there's, it's just not a good time in our area to sell. I don't know what the market is where you guys are, but for us, it is horrible. And we are not going to just give our house away. So
we're in it.
So we're in it. After we have sold everything that we own and gotten rid of everything, we have decided to move back in temporarily, maybe temporarily. We don't know what we're doing.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We'll be here through the winter.
Yes.
For sure.
Maybe reevaluate in the spring. Maybe when interest rates come down, we'll have some better luck. We don't really know. But for now, we're back in the house and rebuying some things.
And not rebuying some things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we don't need all the things we had. So we found out.
Yeah, people are really hoping for interest rates to fall, which will help potentially kickstart some of these home sales. And apparently a national housing emergency might be declared this fall, ahead of also when feds might be lowering interest rates a bit. According to Zero Hedge, it's finally being admitted that a toxic combination of elevated mortgage rates and record high home prices has sparked one of the worst housing affordability crises in a generation, sidelining many workers.
I actually do not recall ever, and I'm, 6.5 decades as an American, we having a housing crisis like we have today. The housing, also rentals, everything skyrocketing, nobody buying because they don't have money. And yeah, the interest rates, well, even if they go down, even if the mortgage rates go down, there's not going to be very many buyers because so many have lost their jobs, they can't find jobs, and they just don't have the money. So what are people going to do? Crazy Americans just wasting time.
What is selling a home in 2025, our realtor always asks for feedback after a showing. So our most recent feedback, mind you, we have the biggest garage they have in homes in the Phoenix area, except for RV garages. So there's 2-car, which is like nothing. And then you have a 3-car, which is still pretty small, but it's a 3-car garage. So realistically, you could fit like a golf cart and 2 SUVs or 2 trucks, golf cart. And then the next one would be the RV garage. Well, we have the 3-car garage. So, we have by far the most space, except unless you wanted to go spend another $200,000 to get the RV garage. And our most recent showing said that our garage was too small. Yep. When they said, what did you like most about the house? They said the upgrades. And then they also said, what do you think the house, or why aren't you interested in the house? Because it needs upgrades. Yes, that's how this is going. Oh, and another showing said we didn't have any plants in our backyard. Phoenix gets to 125 a couple weeks out of the year. Everything fries. And plants, you can go buy plants. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I have recommended Homestead Journey, our channel. The link is in the chat. you can listen to more people who are really desperate to sell their homes and they can't because there are no buyers. How about those grocery prices? Yeah.
Rest of the video.
So I had a total crash out this weekend, and I have just absolutely had it. I went to the grocery store today just to get a few things. I'm sitting here right now because I can't fucking sleep. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a bowl of cereal because I just bought a huge box of cereal today. Look at this. I haven't even opened it.
Whoa.
This is a $5 box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I haven't opened
No
it.
way.
And it's...
Stop.
That's it. A pound of ground beef today was $12.
Stop.
And I don't give a fuck. Don't come in my comments and be like, oh, where do you live? Grocery prices are down where I live. It's not bad. Fuck you, okay? Because it's bad. The price of food is getting ridiculous. Like, I have cut out every single thing in my life that I can imagine. I don't get my hair done anymore. I do my nails at home. I've canceled every subscription on my TV. I put gas in my car when I can and leave it in the garage just in case. I don't drive anywhere unless I absolutely have to. This is not how I want to live. This is not how we should be living. And I don't care what anybody says, but this is not how we should be living. There is so much money in America that there should not be anybody hungry or homeless.
No, this is why I make these videos.
And that's exactly right. She's right on, you know. Well, sitting around letting the criminals rule you, you get right here what we're living.
Well, that was a rough one. Whew. If you're curious about how much a family of 6 spends at the grocery store in the Bay Area on a weekly basis, I'm here to tell you. I will say that this week we bought more drinks than usual. So we bought a lot of sparkling water, we bought a lot of soda, we bought just a lot of drinks in general for our beverage fridge. For the most part, this is just meals and snacks for my kids and their lunches for the whole entire week this week. Ooh. I'm cooking 3 meals out of the 5 days. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm cooking. Tuesday and Thursday, we have things going on at school. So how much did I spend? Grand total was $512.58. This was at Safeway. I did end up going to Whole Foods to get some berries because the berries at Safeway looked horrendous. One of the most expensive produce items on my list was a 3-pound bag of grapes. Costed me $19. Ain't nobody wasting grapes in my house. On average, we spend between $2,300 and $2,800 a month. My kids are 15, 13, 11, and 7, so they're consuming a lot of food. I'm gonna put a screenshot here of how much we spent in August, which was $2,500. This is not including eating out. This is not including anything. It's just strictly groceries and Costco.
I don't know. The good thing about this is...
Good thing?
She's owning it. I mean, she's accepting because, I mean, she knows she's got a lot of kids and they like to eat, so she's going to go and buy groceries. But $2,500, oh my God.
I don't think there's a good thing about that. She should not be paying $25 plus every month to feed a family of 4. This is not what we lived, not when we were growing up, baby boomers. Trump's tariffs backfire. Of course, top 10 U.S. states in crisis as Walmart cut back fast. I don't know, but let's just listen.
10,000 workers this month as it closed 154 stores in 27 states. Many of them were the only place to buy groceries.
Where are you going to buy your groceries now?
I don't know. It won't be Walmart. I'm done with Walmart.
According to new data, hundreds of Walmart stores across the U.S. have shut down in just the first half of 2025. From Minnesota and California to Texas, entire communities are now left without a single Walmart within a 50-mile radius. What's driving this mass shutdown? The root cause lies in the 2025 tariffs introduced by the Trump administration, which sent food prices skyrocketing, especially for imported goods. With budgets tightening, consumers have been forced to cut back. Sales plummeted, and Walmart, rather than sticking it out, chose to retreat swiftly from low-income areas. The result, thousands of jobs gone, millions facing disruptions to their daily meals. A food supply chain once known for keeping America fed at low cost is now collapsing, starting with 10 key states. In this video, we're taking you through the 10 hardest hit states currently spiraling into crisis as Walmart pulls back. Don't look away. Your state might be next. Number 1, Minnesota.
Elsewhere in the metro tonight, a Walmart in Coon Rapids will shut its doors later this month.
Coon Rapids. Minnesota is bracing for something no one thought would happen. The region's largest Walmart is set to close its doors on August 29, 2025. 176 employees will lose their jobs, but the impact goes far beyond that number. This Walmart isn't just a place to shop. For thousands of residents, especially seniors, retired workers, and low-income families, it's the only reliable source of groceries within a 20-mile radius. Once it's gone, people are left without affordable alternatives. Other stores are too far, public transportation is limited, and delivery fees are out of reach. It all adds up to an invisible barrier that blocks access to basic meals. So why is Walmart leaving?
It used to be people coming and spending $200-300 for their week, right? Right now they spend at the most $30-40.
It all started with the harsh tariffs reintroduced by the Trump administration in early 2025. Imported food from Canada and Mexico. Frozen meats produced dairy beans. Saw price hikes of 20 to 35% in just a few months. Shoppers couldn't keep up. They bought less, went for cheaper options, and in some cases skipped meals altogether. Sales dropped sharply. And Walmart, built on ruthless efficiency, made a cold calculation pullout. Coon Rapids is just one dot on the map, but it's...
So this is Tony Michael's podcast. So if you want to see the full video, a link is in the chat. But this is part of the deliberate destruction that is taking place. Rural areas, low-income areas for sure. You're going to see less and less services for you. And U.S. job market is breaking. Oh boy, is it breaking. And I've been showing the break. So it's breaking, and I hope that some of you are circulating the information so that especially the baby boomers understand that the economy is not the greatest economy. Yeah, Trump, I'm the greatest. I'm just the greatest, you know. There's no other president who's done a better job. I'm the greatest. Well, he's not. And again, I'm just going to say, communities need to organize, families need to organize, friends need to organize, those unemployed need to organize and figure out something because the system is collapsing. The system is not going to get any better.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're breaking down why the U.S. job market might not be as strong as it looks and what this means for the Federal Reserve, interest rates, and the broader economy. Let's start with the headline numbers. According to the latest job openings and labor turnover survey, job openings fell by 176,000 in July, bringing the total to 7.2 million. The job openings rate dropped to 4.3%, which matches its lowest point since mid-2020. That might not sound alarming on its own, but here's where things take a turn. For the first time in over 4 years, the number of unemployed Americans has surpassed the number of available jobs. And this is where it gets interesting. As of July, there were 7.3 million unemployed people, which is more than the number of open positions. And just a year ago, for comparison purposes, during that hiring boom, there were more than 2 job openings for every unemployed person. There is a big difference. Well, today, that ratio has fallen below 1. That is a significant shift, and it tells us a lot about where the labor market is headed. This is yet another data point that underscores how this job market is frozen, and it's difficult for anyone to get a job right now. It's not just about numbers falling. It's about people staying effectively stuck. The hiring rate hasn't moved. The number of people quitting their jobs is quite flat. Even layoffs appear relatively stable on the surface. But that's only if you look at the first estimates, revisions to previous months. And you know that we've had so many revisions to previous months. Well, it keeps happening. Revisions to previous months, particularly June, show a much darker picture. The number of job openings for June was revised down by 80,000. More troubling, layoffs and discharges for that month were actually revised up by a staggering 192,000 jobs. This is not an isolated incident either. We're seeing a pattern. We're starting to see a very deliberate pattern here.
And the operative word, deliberate. It's a deliberate pattern. And the numbers just every day get bigger and bigger and bigger. Increase on the amount suffering. And it's not just happening with Americans, but the Canadians, with the Brits, with the Scots, with the Irish, with the Aussies, all over. And that's why, community is so important. Very important. And it's very sad that there is not really any strong, trustworthy communities out there. I will post the link I have recommended. I think it's World Events in Context. Let us see. World Affairs in Context. And real estate mindset, evictions just keep coming. It's a breakdown. We see it. It's in our face. It's happening.
I can't afford to be sick. I don't deserve to be sick. And what you're telling me is I don't deserve to eat, bro.
Mass evictions continue to get worse across the nation, but in some areas, in some states, the eviction rate is much worse than others. Now, today, we're going to look at the top 6 states of eviction filing and the top 5 metro areas of skyrocketing evictions. Now, I'm also going to play several videos of the eviction process playing out because I want y'all to remember that these are human beings being kicked out of their homes and placed out onto the street. And in some states, 1 out of every 5 renters are currently behind on their rent. America has a very clear, dire cost of living crisis. Now, we're going to end this video looking at potential rent relief programs. So if you or someone you know is struggling to make their rent, maybe this information will help. And having said that, welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. You guys already know this video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Study reveals where Americans are falling behind on housing payments. 2 paragraphs here. Housing affordability is reaching crisis levels in many parts of the United States. Comment below. Let me know whether or not you agree. I know for sure there is a crisis of living epidemic going on across the nation. But is that happening to you? Comment yes or no below. And a growing number of Americans are finding it hard to keep up with their housing costs. Whether it's soaring rents or overdue mortgages, the struggle to stay current on payments is affecting millions of households nationwide. According to a recent study by Deeds.com, an online platform that provides real estate deed forms and information, over 6.6 million households are behind on their mortgage payments, while 9.4 million renters are struggling to pay rent. That study ranks states based on percentage of households falling behind, revealing stark differences across the country.
All right, link is in the chat. And our own Tony Punch is also writing that he may lose his house. And he writes that no one would care. No one would care. He's lived in that house for 30 plus years, and none would care. Yeah, Well, unfortunately, I think you're speaking the truth, Tony. And how much are you behind? If you don't mind my asking, how much are you behind for your home? And last day, yep, Texas Oil Company lays off 3,000. More jobs are people are just being laid off all over the place.
There are now more unemployed people in the United States than there are job openings, according to a report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics released today. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is part of the Trump administration. They're probably cooking the books, and they're still showing that there are more unemployed people here in America than there are job openings. So, can't afford rent? Why don't you get a better job? Can't afford groceries? Why don't you get a better job? That boomer talking point doesn't fly anymore. There are not enough jobs for the unemployed people in this country, and the jobs just don't pay enough. The median individual income in this country is less than $50K a year. And so when people tell you get a better job, there's something like 20 million more adult workers in this country than there even are jobs that pay above that. So.
Before we finish the rest of this video, I got to give a huge shout out.
Yeah. The talking points. I refuse to acknowledge reality. I refuse to listen to my government officials, my president, my mainstream media reporters, and consider that they're lying. No, I love the lies. It means I don't have to do a freaking thing. I can just go on living just as I am and then judge everybody who's having a hard time. And Tony Punch writes, it's strange how everybody has changed, but not surprising. I don't think people have changed. I really don't. I think Americans have been like this forever. You know, I think now, considering what has really changed is our life here in America and all those who are struggling. We're living an unprecedented, painful time, and we're seeing Americans who they truly are. They just don't care. As long as they're doing okay, that's all they care about. Most. Huge majority. And that's unfortunate. And here, HOA seeks to foreclose on a 77-year-old's home over pressure washing violations.
A 77-year-old Kennesaw man fears losing his home to his HOA after racking up fines for not pressure washing his home and leaving a bucket of water outside.
Atlanta News First investigative reporter Anastasia Olmos explains how fines from your homeowners association can end up costing you everything.
The scene of the crime is this north-facing side of my house.
It's a scene that haunts George Watson more than 3 years later.
It's anxiety, it's sleeplessness, it's depression.
A slimy wall, a bucket, and a ladder.
I realized, I had been the architect of my own demise by not opening the mail.
The fines and legal fees, he estimates, now exceed $30,000.
It very possibly means that I'll lose the house.
But it's not the local police after Watson. It's his homeowners association.
This was the original newsletter that came the first year we were here.
George moved into the Cedar Lake Townhome subdivision in Kennesaw in 2001.
These were starter homes. I purchased mine out of a divorce. It was all I could afford. Everything I had is tied up in this house. All the equity I've got to show for my life.
He says he's had his share of disagreements with the HOA in the last 20 years, but now he fears he could lose everything.
During COVID, I developed a neurotic response to mail delivery. I had literally just don't want to see mail.
George says when he checked the mail in late 2022,
I had a bill saying, you owe the HOA $6,000. Please send us a check. And I sort of, but for what?
he says he had no idea he'd violated any HOA rules, and then saw the other letters from July to September. Warnings and then fines to pressure wash the side of his home and to dump water out of a bucket, stating this breeds mosquitoes. And one in November for a ladder on the side of his house.
You cannot see anything on the side of the house.
The fines, $50 a day, equating to more than $1,500 a month, with 7% interest for 4 months. George says he borrowed a pressure washer from his neighbor, but didn't get to it until January of 2023. That's when the fines stopped. He says when he tried to negotiate with the board,
there was absolutely no attempt at all to talk to me. And then the knock at the door came.
It was July 2024. The HOA filed a judgment to foreclose on the lien they placed on his home to recover the money he owed, now more than $9,000. Georgia law allows an HOA to place a lien on a home for any amount. They can file to foreclose on the home when that amount exceeds $2,000.
I'm retired and living on a fixed income. Social Security, it amounts to about $20,000 a year. How am I going to pay if I lose the suit?
George says he took out an equity loan on his house to fight for it.
A year of anxiety and worry over the mounting legal costs, because it's not over. I think it's added about 5 years of age to me.
Atlanta News First Investigates found George is the only homeowner in the Cedar Lake townhomes that the HOA has taken to court since 2008. But we did speak with several homeowners who said they've also had similar disagreements with the HOA. And when we went to ask the HOA president about George's case, she told us,
you will need to call our property management company or our attorneys.
The management company, Tolly Community Management, told us in part that someone choosing not to read their mail is not an association issue. The covenants for the neighborhood state that the notice shall be sent by U.S. mail. For more insight, we sat down with attorney Randy Williams, who represents homeowners as well as HOAs in Metro Atlanta.
There are some times where you just need to tell your client, don't do that. So what are you going to do? You want to take their house? You probably could, but do you think that's the human thing to do to a 70, 80-year-old person?
Instead, he recommends HOAs offer payment plans to people living on fixed incomes and points to a much cheaper solution, often found in the HOA bylaws, called self-help powers, letting the HOA board perform repairs or assist directly.
It would have been cheaper to either knock on his door or move the problem items to the back of his house.
I'm between a rock and a hard
77 years old, no, we're not going to resolve anything. We're going to take your home. They want the home. They want the home. That's why they won't do anything. They won't negotiate. They won't, sit down and, have a humane discussion with an elderly person who lives limited income. And no, we're not going to do that because we want your home. And we got it. So, Microsoft's greed gives China keys to vital U.S. defense systems. This almost sounds like treason. Yeah. Oh, and it sounds like, what the hell? Are you going to tell me that no one in, those national security intel agencies knew what Microsoft was doing? So this is it. It's a national betrayal. Microsoft, actively exploiting loopholes in federal guidance, has effectively handed Xi Jinping the keys to sensitive U.S. defense systems by using cheap Chinese labor to maintain them. ProPublica reported that Microsoft has long employed engineers based in communist China to maintain and support cloud systems used by the U.S. Department of Defense. The U.S. Department of Defense didn't know? Are you flipping kidding me? Microsoft's role as a trusted contractor for our federal government means this is not a routine cyber vulnerability, but a direct threat to our national security. So the Department of Defense contracts with a corporation or a company, and they don't really vet how they're going about, the employees. Oh, you're hiring cheap Chinese labor. It gives the Chinese Communist Party the ability to map and disrupt U.S. military operations, logistics networks, critical infrastructure. It allows Beijing to build comprehensive surveillance profiles on American service members, government employees, and private citizens, and to undermine our technological advantage by stealing proprietary information, research, and defense innovations. Okay, that sounds like Microsoft was doing a little spy espionage. Like, what are we going to do? What is the Department of Defense going to do? What's the Justice Department going to do? This is insane. In short, it's putting American lives at risk. This is not a standalone incident, but part of an alarming pattern in which Microsoft has consistently ignored or dismissed security risks. Alarming pattern, allowing Chinese and Russian hackers to exploit its software. Kind of sounds like the Department of Defense is in on this. The pattern is clear and the implications are devastating. These breaches have compromised sensitive government operations, exposed personal data, and jeopardized mission-critical systems. Worse yet, this is espionage, facilitated not just by foreign adversaries' aggression, but by the greed and negligence of an American corporation. It sounds purposeful to me. Living in the US of A. Oh my God. So, all right. Any of you on the live stream last night remember something that I included in the live stream? Because if you have that memory, you would look at this headline and think, what? H-1B visa program is kneecapping white-collar workers across America. Senator Eric Schmidt says, how is that possible? And you probably don't remember, but the H-1B visa program, which allows hundreds of thousands of mid-level foreign workers, primarily from India, to take professional jobs in the United States every year, it's kneecapping white-collar workers across the country who are often laid off, but before they leave their job, they're forced to train their foreign replacements, which the training could be months. So that's a paycheck for the employee who was going to be laid off, but I sure as hell wouldn't stick around for that. But yeah, they've imported a vast new labor force from abroad. It's not new. We've been doing this forever. But not to fill jobs Americans can't or won't do, but to undercut American wages, replace American workers, and transfer entire industries into the hands of foreign lobbies. We have funneled in millions of foreign nationals to take the jobs, salaries, and futures that should belong to our children, not because the farm workers are smarter or more talented, but merely because they are cheaper and more compliant, and therefore preferable to the eyes of too many business elites who often see their own countrymen as an inconvenience. All right, anybody remember? You answered me up there. Okay, well, this is Labor Day, just a couple of, September 1, posted by Secretary Kristi Noem, writes, this Labor Day, America works for Americans again. 100% of all new job gains have gone to U.S. citizens, and 2.5 million Americans are back at work since January. Under Biden, 88% of all jobs went to foreign-born workers. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security reforms have saved taxpayers over $13.2 billion. Where's that money going that you just saved? Okay, so Trump and I are putting the American worker first. Abject bullshit. Okay? Abject bullshit. And we're getting a lot of it. I mean, it's more like, wow, Trump comes into office and pile it on. All right. Okay. I'm looking for a comment. See, Tony Punch, you're behind $1,580 on the mortgage and the big utility bills. Problem is wife, no overtime for a few months, and her regular pay does not come up to the amount of our gutted bills. Cut out everything for 9 years now. I know that's not much. We have a low house note. Wife works for the school board. Very low pay. Well, we have a community here, and we could help one another. Yeah, oh, I forgot. I want to thank Donald B., Shelley S., and Kelly S. for your donations. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, because it seems that those who donate have repeatedly donated. I've asked, those of you who've never donated but show up on a nightly basis, you're getting something from this because you're showing up. You can't donate a little? Can we help Tony out? Hell, if not very many views on this channel, Never Lose Truth 5, but what is it? I get I'm doing this just so you can see. All right, so let's say 500 views, and that's times $5. $5. There you go. 2,500. $5. Could give Tony a little breathing space. Wouldn't that be nice? You know, if we just helped one another a little, my God, it could really take, you know, a whole lot of stress. I'm asking, Tony, because it's you unprecedented times calls for a change in our behavior. It calls for us helping one another out. Now, I understand that, but, you know, you've commented about your situation a number of times, and there's no reason why we can't have our community here help you out. Sandra Pillar-Gill did. You know, she donated $150, went to Tony. Okay, but you know, I have some incredible subscribers. Donald, B, and all those who have donated. And I thank you so much. But there's a lot that are just not stepping up. Now, a whole lot of people will say, you know, everybody's in the same circumstance. That's bullshit. That is abject bullshit, because I know that there's an awful lot of people who are not in my circumstance. They're not in Tony's circumstance. And for sure, they could help people. So we talk a lot about, you know, the suffering here, you know, our fellow Americans. And we talk a lot about the apathy that we have got going here. I talk a lot about, hey, try, you know, help out people in your community. And I'm so grateful to the few subscribers who have told me, you know, what they do. But yeah, I mean, there's an awful lot in the awake crowd who also don't care. And that pisses me off. You know, talk about people who enrich themselves, the hypocrites in Congress, you know, and I was looking for a video that when it was a short, relatively short video, I think 13 minutes, on all of those in Congress and how, you know, insider trading is legal for those in Congress. But if you engage in insider trading, then, you know, it's a crime. It's a crime for ordinary people, but it's not a crime for those in Congress. We've allowed this. You know, we've allowed this. And this perfect example And those in the liberal Democrats, socialist squad, they've made a fortune since they've been in Congress. How? So here, Ilhan Omar, preaching socialism, practicing capitalism. I am so fucking sick. This is the author of the article. I am so fucking sick of watching politicians on both sides of the aisle get rich while they're in office. Especially when you see so many of your fellow Americans hurting. But when politicians rail against millionaires and billionaires while quietly joining their ranks, yeah, it's worse. Hypocrisy dressed up as virtue. Few examples are as glaring as Omar. Her latest financial disclosure? Wow. Just months ago, Omar dismissed rumors about her personal wealth as ridiculous and categorically false, insisting she's just a working mom with a student loan. Omar and her husband, Tim Minette, are sitting on a net worth of up to $30 million, which is a 3,500% jump in a single year. Okay. Wow. So my highlighting came off. The hypocrisy runs even deeper when it comes to those who spend their careers railing against capitalism, wealth, and inequality, and meanwhile, they're pocketing tremendous amounts of wealth because of the positions that they hold in Washington, D.C. Her net worth didn't come from thriftiness on a congressional salary. It came from her husband's business, a California winery, and a Washington, D.C. based venture capital firm, Rose Lake Capital. Winery valued at a measly $15,000 to $50,000 last year is now worth $5 million to $25 million in a year. Wow. Not bad for a family that supposedly embodies the struggles of everyday Americans. She's not the only one. There are so many that do this. It's sickening. It is so corrupt beyond belief. The elderly getting put out on the street, evicted, and we don't do anything. Worth $30 million. All right, I'm gonna. It's. I think I have time. So that Trump, Department of Defense, blew up a boat because there was a lot of drugs. There was so much drugs. There was a lot of drugs. So we struck that boat, killing 11 on that boat. Where was the evidence? And I'm talking about the boat with Venezuela. Where was the evidence? But did we see any evidence? No, we didn't see any evidence. Okay. So J.D. Vance has asked what legal authority the Trump administration had to strike this cartel boat, the alleged cartel. Who knew if it was a cartel boat? oh, right, it's because Trump said it, so it must be true. The guy that lies every single day to the American people, the guy that is so unbelievably corrupt, he puts it in your face, and the American people are like, oh, well, wow, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Why are we allowing all of these criminals to just do whatever the hell they want, blow up, boats, and claim that that's what Trump said, it was full of drugs? Where's the evidence? And the list is long. Is it Somalia that we're dropping bombs on? And Trump, man, he is, well, we don't hear anything about that, right? But yeah, just blow up Somalia. Or, I mean, Gaza, Syria. But Trump, he ended 7 wars. He said it again. What 7 wars? What 7 wars did he end? Anybody know? The U.S. is Israel. Israel is the United States. It's not like it. It is it. So here, listen to J.D. Vance's response.
We do so that the next family doesn't have to deal with this.
On the Venezuela vessel strike, what legal authority were you guys working under, and will there be an after report on the strike?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be an after report. I mean, the legal authority, and I want to talk about these kids, is that there are people who are bringing literal terrorists, who are bringing deadly drugs into our country, and the President of the United States ran on a promise of stopping this poison from coming into our country. Another question?
Can you speak to what?
That was the legal authority? That? Well, they're bringing drugs into our country, and, well, Trump promised to stop it. That's the legal authority? And that's good enough? Because we are a rogue nation, should I just stop bringing this stuff up and just accept it along with a whole lot of people? Huh? What do you think? That's the legal Trump promise. That's the legal authority. Okay. Did you see any of this? I'm going to play this out. China's military far surpasses ours. And okay, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to play some of our military parade a couple of months ago. See if you see a difference.
后装保障区我们驶来，受运装备为野战急救车，野战丰富完善我军现代后勤保障体系，大幅提升联合保。
鹰击出鞘，巨大海空，反舰导弹方队高超声速导弹编程，威震寰宇，气势磅礴的核导弹第二。侦察、远途打击、制空作战、战略投送。和平盾牌，人民军队忠实履行保卫祖国安全和人民陆海空机三位一体战略核力量，是维护国家海空侦察、巡逻监视、电磁制压能力。航程远，载重大，速度快，多次执行海内外大区域巡航。防区外打击能力是我军。
Wow. Now, their military parades, year after year, they've always, it's fascinating watching all of these, the women and the men who are so in unison with their movements, and they know how to do it. But China knows how. You know, they actually have pretty good food in China, and they don't do all of the bullshit that we do in our education. Well, it's not even an education system that we've got going. It's a, hey, let's keep you as dumb as we can. That's not what China does. So they're fit, a whole lot of them. They are smart, a whole lot of them. So here we are. All right. This military parade, man, ours, look how sloppy everybody looks. I mean, it was just a sloppy mess.
Hurricane Sandy, distribution support during COVID-19, and recently support for New York State Corrections. Commanded by Chief Warrant Officer 2 Ethan Wagner and led by Drum Major Sergeant First Class Drew Gans, the band is performing Over There, written in 1917 by Broadway composer and recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal George M. Cohan. Representing the World War I era is the 82nd Airborne Division, based out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. You'll notice the unit is wearing replica World War I uniforms signifying the soldiers who served our nation during this time. When the Americans entered the Great War, our soldiers under the command of General Blackjack Pershing hit the trenches in the new standard. It was the olive drab winter service uniform. Now on their heads you see a steel helmet with sand-textured paint built to deflect deadly shrapnel from above. Not bulletproof, but battle tough. Nicknamed the Pershing boot, on their feet was the M918, 1918 French boot. It was designed to survive the brutal grind of trench warfare. And on their backs, the field pack, rations, ammo, first aid, and a gas mask. Everything a doughboy needed to fight and to win. Incidentally, the 42nd Infantry Division was deployed to heavy combat abroad and then deployed again in World War II, ultimately liberating the Dachau concentration camp. The 42nd responded to the terrorist attacks on 9/11. Later, with the war on terrorism, the rainbow stretched across the world again, deploying in Iraq and Afghanistan. Thundering into view, the pride of Fort Sill, the U.S. Army Artillery Half Section. This is literally powered by horsepower and heritage. This elite ceremonial unit honors the legacy of the Army's horse-drawn artillery. With precision, discipline.
This just looks so, I don't know, comical. Like it's compared to China. It just looks like a, well, let's just throw this together. And I guess that's essentially what they did, throw it together. You know, but it looks kind of like.
In the Gulf War, no division hit harder or moved faster than the
Kind of
1st
like
Armored.
immature.
The 1st Armored Division, nicknamed Old Ironsides, is the oldest, most recognizable armored division in the United States Army. As part of the buildup for World War II, cavalry and reconnaissance units were brought together to form the 1st Armored Division in 1940. In the Gulf War, no division hit harder or moved faster than the 1st Armored. Old Ironsides.
And he looks really stupid. I'm sorry. This is embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. Oh, and I caught the Walmart. You're talking about donating via Walmart, which I completely forgot about. You do have to pay, but it's cheaper than doing, what is the Union one? Western Union. Definitely cheaper. But you need whatever ID that somebody, to get the donation who shows up, you need the exact information, you know, the exact spelling of the name. So if it's Tony Punch, it has to be the same spelling as your license or whatever ID that you use. What else? Walmart will tell you. You could probably find it online. I haven't done it in years, so I can't remember, but then once you donate, and you don't even have to have the address, you just need the state. All right, so Tony's in Louisiana, you just say Louisiana, and Tony can pick it up at any Walmart in Louisiana. It's very simple, and it's a good way to get money to people very quickly. I think the last time I just kind of looked was when I was in customer service. I think it's still $8. That's the cheapest, the lowest. I think for sending, I don't remember the limit, but if you're sending more money than that, the fee goes up. So yeah, anybody who doesn't want to do PayPal, or anybody who doesn't want to donate to me and give it to Tony, which is the freest way to do it, because you don't have to pay if you send it via PayPal, and then I send it along to Tony, and I don't have to pay any fee. So whatever anybody is, whatever you're comfortable with. So yeah, that whole, our military parade, it was an embarrassing show. It was just embarrassing. And this guy, you know, never served a day, you know, in the military. I think he got out of Vietnam via I don't know, being in college or something. So I don't know. On a time limit, I don't know, Julie. He's still in the chat. So, yeah, this huge, inviting Putin, inviting North Korea, is it Kim Jong-un? Whatever the hell that guy's name is, I can't even remember. And so it was a real diss to, why would China invite Trump? Why? That to me is, but Trump said things like, well, I'm sure Putin and Xi and all of them were really wanting to know that I was watching their military parade. Everything is about Trump. That means he's got a personality disorder. And when you're ruled, quote unquote, by somebody who has a personality disorder, nothing really is going to work out for you. So NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte warned that Russia and China are preparing their defense industries for long-term confrontation. We're building all of this up, right? Yeah. Sorry. We face serious and lasting threats, Russia and China. Hell, they know we're destroying ourselves. Don't you think that they know that we eat poison food, that we drink poison water, that we're breathing a shitload of poisoned air? Not that the geoengineering is not going on in Russia and not going on in China, but and they know that their economies are stronger than ours. Doesn't matter what mainstream media is saying, okay? They know that we're on our last leg. They don't have to do much of anything to just watch us fall apart. Their defense industries are producing weapons and heavy military equipment at a remarkable, staggering rate. Well, with all of the threats coming out of the United States, every country, if they had the ability, would be doing exactly the same thing. China unveiled a range of nuclear weapons, including 2 new gigantic intercontinental ballistic missile designs. So the NATO chief Rutte warned that the parade was not merely an attempt to show off, but rather to aggressively exert influence and attempt to reshape the global order and undermine our freedom and security. Oh my God, we better bomb them fast. If I had a military like China's and that kind of parade, I'd show off. Especially with tiny weeny United States. They must have been watching our military parade going, it's so sad. How did that country become an empire? Now, yeah. We'll do this issue tomorrow. No, we're going to do it now. So this is Double Down News, which I recommend subscribing. The link is in the chat. Katie Halper. Again, you get tired of having to go along with all of the propaganda and all of the lies, and you got to speak up. But you have to wonder, is anyone listening? Well, I'm going to play this, probably going to play the whole thing. It's 10 minutes, or 10 and a half minutes, and yeah, I don't like watching everything that's going on. I really don't. I don't like just watching. Like, what are we doing? Just watching.
It brings me no pleasure to compare what Israel's doing to what the Nazis did. But how can we not? Because you have things like ghettos, you have things like starvation, you have things like concentration camps, you have things like the planned, systematic extermination of people. Now, a lot of people talk about the banality of evil. There was a real cold detachment, industrialized murder of Jews and others during the Holocaust. What's so disturbing about what Israel is doing and the IDF is doing is that they are doing it with glee. And unlike the Nazis, they're not hiding it. And we know this because they document this. They document not just the war crimes, but they document their glee. You even have Israeli soldiers themselves comparing themselves to Nazis. One of them said, "I felt like a Nazi. It looked exactly like we were the Nazis and they were the Jews." They, of course, being Palestinians. Another soldier said it is justified and, in fact, essential to learn from every possible source, even, however shocking it may sound, how the German army fought in the Warsaw Ghetto. So there we have Israeli soldiers literally learning from Nazi tactics and comparing themselves explicitly to the Nazis and the Palestinians to the Jews. Ironically, according to the International Holocaust Remembrance Association definition of anti-Semitism, it is anti-Semitic to, quote, draw comparisons between contemporary Israeli policies to that of the Nazis. So I guess those soldiers are themselves anti-Semitic, according to this definition. Another point of comparison, although it's actually a point of departure, is the relationship between the genocide and public opinion. Now, the Nazis tried as best they could to hide what they were doing. And in fact, the biggest concentration camps that they built were outside of Germany. And they didn't do them in public places. And even though it was illegal to resist the Nazis, you did have some resistance from people who were fighting against what the Nazis were doing within Germany. In Israel, however, everyone knows what's happening. It's documented by legacy media, it's documented by social media, and yet the vast majority of Israelis think that the government is using either an appropriate amount of force or not enough force against the Palestinians. You even have young people dancing to genocide. Another thing that Israeli society seems to be A-okay with is the rape of Palestinians. Now, Western media spread a narrative of mass rape used as a weapon by Hamas. Every single so-called witness to rape on October 7th has backtracked. No media, however, has corrected this. But what has the Western media totally ignored, which, ironically enough, the Israeli media has covered? The rape of Palestinians. There's literal video footage of Israeli soldiers who pick up a Palestinian, raise their shields to hide what they're doing, but are obviously gang raping him. So what happened next? There were protests. Protests against the rape? No. There were protests that have been dubbed right to rape protests. You have people, including members of government, you have soldiers, you have civilians, who protested the punishment of rapists. That's what they were upset about. It really is insane when you think about it. Literally, the entire Western media apparatus devoted itself to talking about rapes for which there is no evidence, and devoted itself to remaining silent about rapes which were documented by Israeli media. One Israeli journalist in a Times of Israel blog post said, "Lebensraum needed for Israel's exploding population." And if that sounds familiar, it may be because Hitler used the word Lebensraum in Mein Kampf to describe what was needed to move the German population eastward. Likewise, Israel is expanding, not just in Palestine, the West Bank, Gaza, but also Syria and Lebanon. And there are calls from up on high from Israeli officials for creating a greater Israel. This plan for greater Israel is so frightening that even Moshe Yalon, a former IDF commander, said,
על עליונות יהודית, מיין קאמפ במהופך. שערותיי סומרות שאני אומר את זה.
Here are some other comparisons that one cannot help but draw between the Israeli government and the Nazi government. Hitler in 1939, speaking to the German parliament, said, if the world of international financial Jewry, both in and outside of Europe, should succeed in plunging the nations into another world war, the result will be the extermination of the Jewish race in Europe. In 2016, during an interview, former Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman said, quote, if they, the people of Gaza, engage in a new war on Israel, it will be the final war for them because we will completely destroy them. The following is a quote from Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS. We had the moral right, we had the duty to our people to destroy this people which wanted to destroy us. Now listen to this from Ezra Yakin, a veteran from the Deir Yassin massacre, one of the worst massacres of the Nakba, who on October 13th, 2023, talked to Israeli soldiers about the need to go into battle.
תעלו והצליחו, תכסחו אותם כמה שיותר, שלא להשאיר מהם זכר, שלא הם, לא אמא שלהם, לא הילדה שלהם, לא התינוקות שלהם, אסור להם לחיות לחיות האלה. נקבל עוד טילים מהחיזבאללה, ויקומו כל הערבים בארץ נגדנו, ואז לא תהיה ברירה, מי יש לו נשק יירה בהם. אתה יש לך שכן ערבי, אתה לא תחכה שהוא יבוא אליך הביתה. תיכנס אליו הביתה ותירה.
Some of the things that were said and written by early founders of Zionism sounded like they could have been said and written by Nazis. We can see this clearly with Theodor Herzl, the founder of political Zionism. Herzl blamed Jews for creating anti-Semitism. He said that anti-Semitism was caused by, quote, our excessive production of mediocre intellects. In some point in our history, some inferior human material got into our unfortunate people and blended with it. He also said, we want to let respectable anti-Semites participate in our project being the founding of Israel. He also said, the anti-Semites will become our most dependable friends. The anti-Semitic countries are allies. Zvi Jabotinsky, the father of revisionist or right-wing Zionism, said, the Jews are very nasty people and their neighbors hate them, and they are right. Our starting point is to take the typical Yid of today and to imagine his diametrical opposite. Because the Yid is ugly, sickly, and lacks decorum, we shall endow the ideal image of the Hebrew with masculine beauty. He was also open about the colonial nature of Zionism. We shall try to spirit the penniless population, Palestinians, across the border by procuring employment for it in the transit countries, while denying it employment in our country. But the process of expropriation and the removal of the poor must be carried out discreetly and circumspectly. Uri Zvi Greenberg, an Israeli poet, journalist, and politician, said, those loathsome Jews are vomited out by any healthy collective and states, not because they are Jews, but because of their Jewish repulsiveness. David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, said, Jews, quote, have no roots. They are rootless cosmopolitans. There can be nothing worse than that. They are sterile Jewish masses living parasitically off of the body of an alien economic body. Lest you think that Israel was founded to save the Jews, listen to this fascinating quote by Ben-Gurion. If I knew that it was possible to save all the children of Germany by transporting them to England and only half by transferring them to the land of Israel, I would choose the latter. So there you have famous Zionists and Israel's first prime minister, David Ben-Gurion, saying he was willing to let hundreds of thousands of Jewish children die for a national project. Creating a Jewish majority where there was none was obviously going to lead to, at the very least, ethnic cleansing. And when there was resistance, it would lead to massacres and ultimately genocides. And that's what we're seeing today. An Israeli protester said in June 2025,
I want to apologize to the world to be a Jew and Israeli in a country that behaves like Germany, the Nazis at 1940. Israel is now a complete copy of what happened in Germany.
I never felt comfortable making comparisons between Nazi Germany and contemporary Israel. But today, I find myself unable to remain silent about the similarities. You can't help but comparing the emaciated skeletal bodies of Palestinians and Palestinian children to the emaciated and skeletal bodies of Jewish people during the Nazi Holocaust. And when you see videos of people in concentration camps during the Holocaust clamoring for food, how can you not think of the Palestinians trying to get food from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which lures them by offering them food only to kettle them or shoot them? I myself lost family members during the Holocaust, and I've spent the last year and a half interviewing Holocaust survivors who are themselves speaking out against the genocide Israel is currently perpetuating. How can we be bystanders to a genocide when genocide exterminated so many of our people? Never again doesn't just require us not to commit genocide, it requires us not to be silent. We must speak out. We cannot be silent bystanders. Never again is now.
Wow, that was very good. I hope some of you listened to it. Circulate it. Yeah, and Katie Halper is Jewish. There's a whole lot of Jews who are so against what is taking place. So against. And yeah, it's we're living a very unprecedented time, and it does demand change in all individuals. Absolutely, 100%. And certainly if we can't get, these agendas stopped, then we sure can help those who are needing help. It's very important, very, very important. So whatever, if you're donating on PayPal, my PayPal, which is smilingrocks@gmail.com, and that is not my email address. It's PayPal. I've had this account, 25 years, and that was my main email account. But Google decided, they said, you're not you, so forget it. We're not letting you into your email account, Smiling Rocks. My email is neverlosetruth@gmail. But PayPal is smilingrocks@gmail.com. And if you are donating for Tony, put that, just say Tony, that's enough. And that money will definitely go to Tony. Definitely go to Tony. Okay. So, oh, Lori, I don't like people who go on attacking other people. I don't like it. Lori, ciao. I don't like it. Okay, so, yeah, you can help your communities. You can help this community. You can start donations, for pet food and help those in your community. You can write a sign, put it on your lawn, taking donations for pet food, and those in the community members who are struggling. And we don't want people giving away their pets. So if you can't afford them, come here. Food banks, definitely in need. There's a lot of need out there now. But if everybody contributes, a whole lot of people can be helped. There's no reason for a whole lot of people to suffer. So, all right. Thank you for showing up. I do hope to see you tomorrow, and stay safe. Let's just a quick glance at love the tales, that they swing from Minnesota into Iowa, from actually South Dakota, Minnesota into Iowa. You got one up here. You got the nanobots that are, we're going to look at this straight line. They call them training storms. We need to do things, circulate information. Don't let people lie to you. Hold people accountable. I know a lot of people are afraid. People will think that I'm confrontive. No. You hold somebody accountable for the behaviors that that they do to you, like right in front of you, or lie to you. You help them maybe think twice about lying again. Just letting people do whatever the hell they want to do. Well, look at this nation now. All right. Again, thank you. Be safe. Good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.